best friend from Spain came to represent all her friends. Represent, what Will is saying here is that Isabel's best friend came from Spain, and since her other friends could not come, the best friend was coming for all of them. She was coming in their place. She was coming for all of the friends. And then Will goes on to say, we're gonna go there. Gonna being short for going to. We're gonna go there soon, and we're gonna see her family and friends. You know, who couldn't make it. But it was nice to have a group of her family and friends here in San Francisco for the wedding. And Joe says, oh, that's great. Where is she from in Spain? And Will says, she's from Bilbao. And Joe says, oh yeah, you know, she told me that before, but I can't say that, you know, I could recall or I could remember the actual town because I'd never heard of it before. 'Cause is short for because. And then Will says, yeah, it's actually a very large city. It's an industrial city. Industrial meaning it has a lot of factories. And then Will says, and it's got a new museum. So it's become more famous or more well-known. And then Will says, but it's been there a long time. And it's a big city, but it's not one of the most known cities in Spain, perhaps. Or he's saying it's not one of the best known cities in Spain, maybe. And Joe says, yeah, agreeing with him. And then Will says, like Madrid and Barcelona. Madrid and Barcelona, these are cities in Spain that are more famous or more known than Bilbao. And then Joe says, yeah. And Will says, so, yeah. But they were all there, and her brother read a medieval Spanish love poem. Now, medieval, this is a time period from long ago. So he read a Spanish love poem from a time long ago. And then Will goes on to say, that was really nice. And parts of our wedding were in Spanish. For the people, you know, our friends here who speak Spanish. And also, you know, for her friends and family from Spain. Yeah. And then Joe says, sure. Yeah, that's great. I know that you've been trying to learn a lot of Spanish lately. Will says, yes, I have. Yes, I have. Well, you know, I learned a lot of Spanish when I was in Chile, but I'm learning a lot more with her now. And Joe says, oh, that's great. Yeah, because the only way you're gonna being short for going to, the only way you're gonna really, you know, get more fluent in it is to use it pretty much every day. So get more fluent. This is just being able to speak better or to speak more in a language. In this situation, Spanish. So get more fluent in it is to use it pretty much every day. Pretty much. Here, pretty just means very. Very much, or almost every day. For example, I go to the park pretty much every Saturday. Pretty much. And then Will says, absolutely. Yeah. And Joe says, so, I bet her father was happy to see that you made an honest woman of her. Made an honest woman of her. What Joe is saying here is, I'm sure her father was happy to see that you got married to her. Made an honest woman of her. An example of this. Sarah and Sam had been living together for 2 years before they got married. So her dad was glad that he finally made an honest woman of her. And then Will laughs and says, I guess so, yeah. And Joe says, I would imagine that maybe was her family pretty traditional? So Joe's saying, was her family very traditional and old-fashioned? Old-fashioned, this means ideas or things that are from a long time ago. Old-fashioned. For example, Kim's parents are old-fashioned. They think that a woman should not live with a man until she gets married. Old-fashioned. Traditional also is basically the same as old-fashioned. Ideas or things from a long time ago. And then Will says, no, actually, they're more progressive in a way. Progressive means able to change thoughts or ideas. So Will's saying, yeah, they're more progressive in a way than Americans are. Americans actually, it seems, are more into the church wedding and everything. Into the church wedding. What Will is saying here is Americans want to have a wedding in a church. They want into the church wedding. And then Will goes on to say, we had a very European wedding. They're not as religious as people think. Americans are pretty religious. Or he's saying Americans are very religious. Religious just means strong beliefs in a religion such as Christianity. Christianity is a dominant, or it's probably the main religion in America. And then Joe says, that's true. So he's saying, you're correct. I agree with you. And then Will says, yes. So they loved everything we did. So when he says they loved, he's saying they really liked everything we did. And then Will says, it was a really good time. Yeah. And Joe says, that's great. And Will says, yeah. So I gotta run. Now, what Will is saying here is not really that he has to go and run somewhere. He's saying, I have to go. Or I need to go now. So, for example, I gotta run to the store to buy some bread. I need to go to the store to buy some bread. I gotta run. And then Joe says, okay, well, Will, let's get together for drinks sometime soon. Let's get together. Joe's saying, let's meet for drinks sometime soon. For example, Karen and I are going to get together for coffee tomorrow morning. Get together. And then Joe says, it's been too long. And Will says, sounds good. And then Joe says, all right. Or he's saying, okay, I'll talk to you soon. And then Will says, all right, ciao. Now, ciao, this is an Italian word for goodbye. Ciao. And then Joe says, bye. Okay, that's the end of the conversation. And it's the end of the vocabulary lesson for the conversation, the wedding. So, as always, make sure before you go on to the mini story that you have a basic understanding of the vocabulary. And then when you feel ready,